This is my professional comments on regarding GACHAGUA's NTV interview. I will try as much as possible to avoid commenting on things that everybody has commented. I'll try as much as possible to comment things especially on a professional level. As an intelligence officer and as a security expert. This way, and first of all, I'll have my own unique way of approach, and also I'll avoid repeating what other people have said while saving time for your bundles. The first thing I'm noticing with Gachagua is that he is not getting the point. Every time he calls a press conference, he goes deeper. He reminds me of a proverb which says, once you are in a hole, the last thing you should do is dig. He finds himself in a hole, and all the time he's doing is digging. What is the result? The result is he goes deeper and deeper. When he had the Citizen interview, that is the time I used to think that he was just being given the scare of his life, so that once he's scared, then the impeachment stops. But when he had the Citizen interview, I reached a stage and believed that it had gone to a point of no return. If I were to meet him, I would tell him, avoid future TV press conferences, especially those that he calls to his place. This is the NTV which I'm reacting. There is the interview he had with the Citizen, which I've already reacted to. There are even occasions when he called press conferences when he was still at the Hustler's Mansion, and the vernacular stations were majorly gamer language. He even at one time called the Kalenjin media houses. Media houses are there, but you see, several media houses have got Kalenjin stations. Jamge FM, Kas FM, you name it. But a clever person learns from the mistake of others. A foolish person learns from the mistake of himself. But then, what do we call Rigathi? We can't even call him a foolish person because he's not even learning from his own mistakes. I'll say that when it comes to the time when he called the Kalenjin stations, you see, he was quoted out of whatever. And even the Nation, NTV, when they were interviewing him, they referred to his interview there, and he tried to get out of the mess that he himself voluntarily entered, trying to justify some things. No, you see, I was quoted out of context, whatever. We are personally, and I'm so far I'm lucky, we have, if you am to meet the journalists, they are out to sell. It is just like we in the social media. We look for likes, we look for views, and we look for subscription. So that is why even we in the social media, you find somebody Find somebody, hey, see what happens to Kwatenge when he ABCD. You watch that thing, you don't remember seeing me doing anything on that video. You repeat it 3 times, only to discover that it was a trick for you to watch it 3 times and improve the viewership of that channel. So even the mainstream media, the intention is the intention is to have more viewership. And so if you go there and they trick you into talking something that can be quoted out of context, it is even worse if it is you who called them. That is what happened when Rigathi was summoned, when Rigathi summoned, when he summoned Kalenjin speaking stations. Another thing that he thinks he's doing from the word go when he was still in office, he thought that by calling a press conference that he would be putting on fear or something from the system to go slow. But this is what is happening. This, they are watching. Actually, they call each other and say, this time Rigathi is on this or that channel. Let us watch him. Because he has a habit of timing the Sunday 7 to 9. I'll come to that. He has a system of timing the 7 to 9 news, evening, whatever, on Sundays. Then these people, they agree to meet on Monday for a post-mortem of what he has said. And in all cases, he ends up being the losing person. He has accused William Samoei Ruto of not listening. He has accused William Samoei Ruto of deciding something, and then even if you tell him anything else, he doesn't follow. Well, it is true. It is true that that is the weakness of Samoei Ruto. Samoei Ruto decides something, and it is unfortunate that the other day he said that we are going to succeed and no amount of naysayers will distract us. That is an unfortunate comment, and for those who have access to him, should tell him that is the framers of the Constitution, when they talked of public participation, they were against this idea, where those who are in power decide something. Remember, you may have decided something that is good for the people, but human beings are people. If you ask one of our common, Eugene Wamalwa and myself, we share a common ancestor called Karandini. If Karandini was to be alive today, he'll tell you human beings are different people. Human beings want to be involved in even a very technical thing, which they don't understand. But you may come up with a very good idea. And so much, whatever. A good idea, an example being, remember Ruto said that what I'm trying to enforce on people, Kibaki came, tried, he didn't complete, failed on the way. Uhuru came, he failed on the way. So it will happen during my time. That is bad. I want to side with Archbishop Olesepit. Sit with people. You promised people 20 things. You can fulfill 3. Sit with them, tell them. Just like Oparanya recently said in Kakamega, that when you are not in government, you don't know what is happening. You just go there and criticize the government. But when the 3 months have been in government, I have come to realize a lot of things that I did not. So if you involve people in such things, they reason and they understand. But when you say you must, and then for reasons you fail, people will turn against you. So William Samuel Ruto decides things, and then he uses systems. One of the system is the leopard. Is it leopard or lion system? You know, a leopard, when it gets an antelope, it eats into its neck and just keeps quiet, blocking air from entering the lungs of the antelope, and just stays there until the antelope dies. And that is what Ruto does. He believes that if he delays implementation of certain things, people will suffer so much that they would just accept the way he has done that. I can show you two systems, one being the university funding. Students rely on boom. Actually, even before I joined Form 5, we came to learn that boom was sacred to comrades. Now, somebody took the government to court. Somebody took the government to court because this five system, this five system thing is, if okay, Ruto is between a stone, well, they say that the devil and the deep sea. But if he sits with people and reason, that is what is there. So he came up somewhere, and this is what I was told at the help place, and realized that. And then he said that students now will have to pay more. Publicly, he says he's publicly he says he's pro-poor students. But when the reality came, now he goes back and tells the help, this is a new system. And help cannot answer, it's a government department. It cannot. And if it answers that back, Ruto comes up and says, you see, you are undermining us. The courts are undermining us. We promised people things. Now you are doing it against it, so you're undermining us so that people say that we did not fulfill our our election pledges. Before I go back to Rigiji, I would just tell Ruto, yes, universities are underfunded and universities are problems. They are underfunded because the money that you give out in form of scholarship, the money you give in form of loans that the students will pay after starting work, are you sure that you immediately pay the universities? No. What happens is that you delay. You delays. People have heard of the county government saying that they are being given money late. Even the universities are given less. So that is why you find that in the standard it was said that the school administration and other people were pushing for the retention of the five best things, because the students will now be required to pay more from 7% to 30%. This extra money will assist the universities to run. Universities have got billions which they expect from the government, but they're not being given. That is that. So one thing that Ruto does, like the leopard that hangs into the neck of the antelope, waiting for the oxygen to do that. When somebody took the case to the court, what Ruto did was, or what the Ruto's government did, is there a difference? What Ruto did was, the court said that the status quo be maintained. And what the government did was to stop that. Students were not even given the boom and whatever. So students, as we speak right now, they are dead broke in the universities. And they are getting letters from the universities that you should pay the 30% immediately or you'll not do any exam. What is the results? The results is that we are going to have a lot of students from poor homes discontinuing with their education. Is that what Ruto wants? You see, there are some things, a very good example, when we got our first job. I told everybody, nikipata kazi, nikipata hii, nitakununulia wazee nawambia, nitakununulia blanketi sijui nini, thinking that the 480 shillings I was going to get were millions. So when you go there, you get other things. He is accusing, Rigathi is accusing Ruto of things that even he himself is. Both of them don't listen to people. Both of them are the same. So I don't see why people who don't listen do complain. I have an experience. My own father, the late Lando, was of that nature. Lando hated being advised. He was very clever, or so he believed. And he believed that he had answers for everything. But you, even deciding whether tomorrow morning you'll take tea, no, you'll take, milk tea, or you'll take tea, or you'll take coffee, with milk or without milk, with mandazi or with bread. Lando wanted you to consult him. He wanted to be consulted by everybody of anything. But when it came to him, by the way, he used to get annoyed when you advised him. He would politely smile, he would politely listen, but for his own son, I knew that such things used to annoy him. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that those people who insist, like Rigathi Gachagua, oh, Ruto does not consult, or if you consult him, he disregards you. Those people with that characteristics, they do insist. They do insist that they must be consulted. They do insist that they must be consulted, and if you don't consult them, they get annoyed. And even if you consult them, you see, what I was taught in the intelligence school is that your work is to advise that person. And if that person gave you the privilege of talking to him, even if you see, if he followed what you advised him, that is icing on the cake. But the fact that he called you and you sat down and he asked you, how do you see this? That is a very respectable thing to you. And whatever he does or whatever, after you have advised him, that is up to him. You only is to wait. And if he calls you to tell you, to ask you for your opinion, go. If he doesn't, stay. And if he follows other people's opinion, or he doesn't follow yours, you don't go there saying, I had told him this and that and that. That is on now his issue about accusing Ruto over things that he is equally the same. He never hears advice. I've never met his advisors, but looking at him, the good thing about such things, such as long discussion with like the one which was in Citizen and now with the NTV, it is good that I study the language. I study the people who insist that you seek their advice. People who they seek that you give them advice, while at the same time they don't want to listen to advice when they're doing whatever they are doing, are people who are emotional and very militant. And when you talk to them, very emotional and very militant, and that one I can see from him when he's talking on that long. You see, these other programs are usually edited, so that one is never edited, and so you can say that. Then we are coming to issues of forced disappearance, arresting and whatever, such and such a thing. I think I wanted to elaborate that on hope. First of all, having a vice president who is a former district officer, talking carelessly the way he's talking is bad for the security of our country. This is somebody, when he was attending the DOS course, remember, he attended the same DOS course with people like Kenneth Lusaka and so on. So he's somebody whom we would expect that he is schooled in issues of security. He is schooled in issues of security. And people who are not schooled in issues of security, you can tell. Like my village mate, is not my village mate, but we come from the same area, Masengeli. You see, Masengeli, for the few days he was acting as the Inspector General, he was dropped into the deep sea. And Masengeli, looking at him, I believe that if that is the reflection of administration police, then we have a long way in integrating APs into police. We have a long way. I'm saying this because the APs started off as tribal police. There's even a time we used to call them Askaria chief. With the way Masengeli behaved when he was the acting Inspector General of Police shows that if a person of that level is that way, then we have a lot to do. Why am I saying about Masengeli? Is that any recruit in Kiganjo who is passing out, they are very particular. I'm not even talking of the recruit today. I'm talking of a recruit in early 80s, my classmates. We had recruits who were illiterate. But you see, taking an oath before you give evidence in court, that thing, any recruit who completed his course in Kiganjo in 1979 and a standard 4 or even standard 7, let me disown the standard 4. Let us say a standard 7 who did his CPE, who did his CPE and joined the police in the 70s, after completing his recruit course, he knew how to take an oath. He knew how to take an oath in a simple way that you just say, I swear by the Almighty God that the evidence that I shall give before this court, touching on the matters that are in question, shall be the truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. That one, if you don't know it, and you are standard 7, in the 70s, you could not complete Kiganjo. That one I tell you. But here is an acting Inspector General who had to be led in. So anybody doubting me, just to go and see the video. Inua Bible juu, Masengeli akainua. Sema baada mimi. Just like anybody who has never been to Kiganjo. So if the Deputy Inspector General of Administration Police could go through that, it's a problem. Another thing, forced disappearance. You saw the way Kanja answered the thing. Kanja said, and that is why I said I'll not go into particulars like the other people are talking. I'll just talk like an intelligence officer, like a security expert, VIP protection expert. I want to talk about those things so that you see it from that point. We have a way that people talk, and we have some way people talk, and they say more by not speaking than what they said. Kanja, minutes after being sworn in as the Inspector General, he was asked whether the Kitengela 3 were under police protection and were under police custody. He said, I have been informed, because he was on compulsory leave, if I can say that. I've been informed that those people are not in any of the police custody. Nothing wrong with that. He was right. The what do you call? The chief of the defense forces did not say, but he could even say that the military cells, I don't have any of those people. We could even have the Commissioner General of Prison say that. But you see, they have said something. He has not said that those people have not been arrested. He's saying that they are not under the police custody. And whoever arrested those people, one was dropped near Tigoni. When he was dropped near Tigoni or something like that, he went and reported to Tigoni police station. So I want to tell you, I'm I'm leading you in reading between the lines. This is somebody who has not been around for quite some time, isn't it? Number of days, many days. And then when he comes out, he's dropped somewhere at past midnight. Then he goes to report to Tigoni police station. I don't know whether it is Tigoni, but the nearest police station. Kama hujasoma between the lines, then okay, I was somewhere, somebody. It's good that Kenyans don't argue with me. I say something and then people don't argue. But if it was somebody else, because I reached somewhere and somebody was saying, how can he be arrested by the police? How can he be arrested by the police and then go and report back to the police station? These three people from Kitengela, they know they were arrested by security personnel. But those security personnel were neither members of the National Police Service. Okay, by National Police Service, I include Kenya Prison. They were not members of the National Police Service, and they were not members of the Kenya Defense Forces. I think I've answered you. Sitakukorogea kila kitu. These things have been happening all over the country, and we have some people who even, and that is why, one of the reasons why I was not reinstated when Kibaki came back. You see, these people, they have, our people, they have mysterious powers. Even a person like me, I have to admit that we have mysterious power. Remember, I was sacked for simply saying that Kibaki becoming the president, Kenya would develop economically. But when Kibaki came there, it was really a challenge for me to be reinstated. I even did want to be reinstated into the NIS. I wanted to be reinstated in the General Duty Police. So you know how these people, how we are. We just arrest somebody, and those Kitengela people and other people, they know who arrested them, and they know they are not part of the National Police Service. So the thing is, the thing is pushed to the Inspector General. But Masengeli being askari ya chief, alitapatapa huku akaanza kusema sijui is busy, sijui nini nini, until it went that way. I think I've answered you. I can tell you that among those untouchable people, if I have to go back in history, and if I have to go back into other countries, in USA, we had the director called Edgar Hoover. Edgar Hoover, who was in charge of, is it FBI or CIA? He was so much feared by even the consecutive president. When they came up, these are the people, let me tell you, these are the people, even if tomorrow Gachagua became the president, they just tell him, President, hivi haitendeki hivi na hivi. And these are the people that the former DEO, you see, Ruto alisomea hizi vitu ziko nyuma yangu. Ruto studied plants so huyo ndio unge expect anakaa na president anamwambia you look now this is a former DO Huisero. You know some people are cheating that he was in Molo but he was in Huisero. This is a former DO who was a member of the security whatever. He knows he was a member of the he knows who we are and he knows how we operate. So Edgar Hoover was the same, but the American, they didn't change the constitution, but nowadays you can find a new president like this one, the returnee, Trump. Trump has even suggested that he's going to change the director of CIA. And even during these last days, the director of CIA was advising him against some other things, and he kept on insisting. And that is why he had even, you know, in the American system, the president says the CIA director goes, he goes. He says another one comes. Now the other one will be subject to security clearance. He'll be subject to security clearance. And then so you can find that there are those people. Nowadays it is that way. It is easier for the president, subject to security clearance, to have his person be there. But those days, Edgar Hoover used to scare people. I want to also to tell you of another untouchable. There is, he was called Isaac Lugonzo. Isaac Lugonzo, but he was majorly known as Colonel Maliamungu. He used to be the pay clerk. He used to pay askaris when he was a corporal. And so when he was giving them money, he used to say, hii ni mali ya Mungu, hii ni mali ya Mungu. He rose up to be a colonel. And he's the one who killed a Kenyan. He's the one who killed a Kenyan from Moranga called Kungu Karumba. But when Jomo Kenyatta was annoyed and talked to Idi Amin and said he wants to know how Kungu Karumba was killed, nani Mali ya Mungu just told Amina wachana hiyo vitu. So I'm trying to say that there are some people who are more powerful than the president. It's a bit hard to trust, but anyway, you know about total man. So these are the things that used to happen, and they still happen, although to a very lower level. It's not like the way it used to be in those days. So him going to, you see, this is where I have issues with him. And he's doing what do you call? Is it a Samson operation? Yeah, I call it a Samson operation because when Samson went to the stadium, he decided that I will die, but all of us will die. Those who read the Bible, you know that. So it is true. I mean, I believe that it is quite possible that he was telling the president. You saw the president ni mtu amesomea paka PhD mambo ya kupanda maua. And him, he was a DO, and he studied political science, if I'm not wrong. So he's more knowledgeable about security issues than Ruto. And he was telling the president, you see, I'm trying to imagine I was there, or I had planted a listening device there. You see, the president came to know these things when he was the assistant. You know, Ruto is in record as being the only assistant minister to have attended cabinet meetings. So he came to know that one much late in the life, and he knows that he's even the sixth or seventh or even eighth president. There are those untouchable people who are there, whom if you tell the president, you see, I'm trying to imagine that Ruto was wondering, sasa huyu si ndiye angetakana hata ajue more than me. I think it may be something like that. But then he is very selective on matters of secrets. He's coming up with the issues of the government. And when it comes to these issues of the government, where it goes to touch him, he says he's covered by the Official Secrets Act. His selection is selecting things that are only meant to where he is guilty. He he cites the Official Secrets Act, but I would advise him that even though when somebody sacked, look at me. I was sacked a long time ago, but I've not accepted. Maybe if I'm compensated, that is the time when uh, maybe when I'm compensated is when I will move on. What of him who he just left the other time? He may still be in the. He most likely is still in the period of the self-denial, which I understand, me of all the people. But let him not talk issues of. Uh, Let him not talk about issues that can compromise the security of the state. Kenyans, you see, the perception is everything. Perception is everything. Uh, to an ordinary person, anywhere, anytime, is that before he was impeached, he was somebody who was more interested in shares and tribalism. Mulima. Actually, the name Murima is connected to him more than anything else. So how comes that when he before he was impeached, an ordinary person, an ordinary Kenyan, believed that he was mindful about shares, but now he's coming up with topics which are national. Why didn't we come up with the national topics when he was there and when he has been impeached? So that is what people are saying. And the more he talks, the more people. And I'm seeing a lot of people are saying, wacha aongee ndio tusikie Mushene. It's even making me have more videos. If you count the Rigathi, I'd intended them to be few, but like this one, yesterday at noon, I had no idea that I would even require to record something about him. So there are those, of course, who want to know what they didn't know, but I would tell him to stop because of two things. Of course, my viewership would go down, but there is national security issues he's talking. That is one. Two, he does not know that he's compromising even he himself. I want to say that for quite a long time, matters of VIP protection is not being done professionally. Even William Samoei Arap Ruto is a victim of it. Remember, Rec company was removed from his house, replaced by AP. And Matiang'i was very clear about it. He told the parliament that a committee on security that there is an authority somewhere. I don't know whether it is in. I don't know whether that authority is in the Kenya Gazette or anything, which states that VIP protection, such as Rec company and G company, only takes care of the president and other visiting heads of state. It does not include the official residence and offices or even home security for the deputy president. Why don't we go professional? Why don't we go professional? Yeah, such that how many retired? Okay, somebody may be as quiet as Moody Awori, and somebody may be talking useless things as Rigathi Gachagua, but both of them were deputy heads of state. They should have the same level of security. Not only that, security of VIP protection, a course that I attended, is a very delicate matter. You may find that you are an assistant minister, but your security threat is so high that you even get security to the level more than some of the ministers. So uh, there is a department that is supposed to go and assess Rigathi Gachagua's security. If his security is just as secure as Uncle Moody, then there can be a timetable. He needs this, he needs this, he needs this. But let it not be at the convenience of those in power. You can see that he's reducing, and his security is being put on and off and whatever. By right, somebody should be seated somewhere and know that as we are talking now, we have one former president who is still alive. That is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. We have how many deputy heads of state? I'm using the word deputy head of state deliberately. How many deputy heads of states are still alive? We have Mudi Awori, we have Kalonzo Musyoka. I've not included Musalia because Musalia is back in the government. So we have Mudi Awori, we have Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. And is there any other one I've forgotten? They should be given a certain level, which can be added or deducted depending on the security threat to that person. You find that if you are in active politics like Kalonzo Musyoka, you may need more security than an inactive person like Mudi Awori. I hope I'm clear there. The other thing I want to tell Rigathi is that this crying wolf may even cost him his life. You see, he's talking about, he's going to detail. And you see, this thing is live. It is something that is not going through. You know, if you are interviewed and later the editors may decide that such and such a thing are not for public consumption. Now, from where I'm seated, you can see the way I'm shifting. It's not a comfortable place. From where I'm seated, you'll notice that I already know that he had a driver who was an inspector of who is an inspector of police. He had a personal bodyguard who was an inspector. He has a corporal from AP who has been guarding him since he was an MP. And he says that his private residence in Karen had 4, which I believe it's two during day, 2 during night. He says they have been withdrawn. He's trying to talk of now that my house is not guarded. Do I need to go there? No. He should not. He should not talk of such things on open. The other thing that he talked about is it 108 billion shillings in Adani? Yeah, he's talking of a certain amount that not is it Adani or is it she for Sha? Sincerely, let us be very frank. Do you want to tell me that the government took out 108 billion shillings and took it to NHIF or Sha Shif, Shak Shuk Shuk, whatever? Really? 108 billion or whatever figure they said? Sometimes and that is one thing I always talk before I go on camera or I go public. Remember, whatever happened, the person watching you was not there. But understand that that person, he may never know where Nyayo torture chambers are or anything, whatever. But if you tell him about Nyayo torture chamber, even if he has never been to Nairobi, he would just look through and know your lies and whatever. Sometimes know what to say. He's complaining that he has no security. I don't know, but I think I heard him when Uhuru was complaining. There is a time when Mamangina's security was taken off. You see, we don't have. That is why I'm saying that we should have the person in charge of coordinating these things to come up with a figure such that a former head of state has this type of security, a former deputy head of state has this type of security, former first lady has this type of security, and so on and so forth. The first ladies we have ever had in Kenya, There is Mama Ngina Kenyatta, who is still alive today. She's a national asset in two ways. She is a widow of a president, and she's the mother to a president. Remember, when Mama Sarah died in Kogelo in Siaya, that is when a police station was moved out of her compound. The United States paid for a police station to be in her compound because touching on her would be touching on a former president of the USA. So people who are very close to this VIP, they are also are supposed to be monitored. Otherwise, touching on them, you'll have touched the VIP. That is, we should have a system, a figure, like in a supermarket. Unga ngano ni pesa ngapi, sukari ni pesa ngapi, sijui nini nini, such things. We should also have that. A former head of state should have this type of security, unless you know a person like Mudi Awori and Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, I expect them not to be on the same level of security because Uncle Mudi is just indoors and Kalonzo Musyoka is all over wanting to be the sixth president. So their security cannot be the same. And I'm only talking on that. There are other things that can also cause somebody. They should also discuss other people like their spouses and whatever. Uh, just talked of the first lady. There's Mama Ngina, who is both wife of the president and mother to a president. Mama Lena Moi died. We go to Mama Lucy died. There is Mama Margaret. Mama Margaret, she's still alive. Then we have Rachel, but Rachel is still the first lady. But one time she'll be. So we and you know women. If you go to my village, you'll find a lot of widows, but their husband. So women, if you go to your village and ask a woman who is still alive and old, ask her which year she was born. You look for men who are born in the year she was born. Women tend to live longer. So we have to look into that, and then we have also to look into the issue of private compounds. Okay, Ruto is the head of state, but one time he was a minister, one time he was the deputy head of state, and in 2033 he'll be a retired president. The question is, we should also ask ourselves about private residence. You find that his residence in Karen had 6, 2 inspectors and 4 guards at Karen. We have not talked about okay, Hustler's mansion, that is an official residence, so we will not talk about. We have not talked about his house in Meru, where he bought land to be where his Wajomba are. We have not talked about those who are at his place in Madeira West and whatever. So we should even also look into those issues. But you see, those are things that we cannot talk publicly, but the relevant government department should come up with such a figure, because currently as things are happening, and Ruto, the other day, Ruto was a victim of it, but today somebody else is a victim of it. These things happen. Like when Janet Museveni was staying in Nairobi, Ugandan government sent spies to come and kidnap her and her daughter in Nyeri. Several years later, now that Museveni is in power, they have sent people to the same Nairobi to kidnap BCJ. Let us have a system where when Museveni felt it was bad for the government of Milton Obote to send people to come and kidnap somebody in Nairobi, it is also bad for him to send people to come and kidnap people in Nairobi. With those so many remarks, I beg to end today's topic there. And I request you to ask more questions in the comment section, and also tell me what you need me to talk in future. Thank you.